Welcome to the Math Review. In this lesson, we're talking about parts of algebraic expressions. We'll go over each of these terms, and then after we go over what each of these terms or vocabulary words means, we'll take this algebraic expression and break it up so that we can see how these apply to this expression. So let's start with the terms. Terms are the individual parts or the separate parts that make up an algebraic expression. Now, these separate parts, there are two types of terms. So the two types of terms are algebraic terms and constant terms. Inside the word algebraic is the word algebra. That is your major hint that this is going to contain a variable. So the definition for that is a term that contains a variable. The next type is a constant term. And constant terms are terms that do not have a variable. And what exactly is a variable? A variable is just a letter that represents a number. And what about a coefficient? A coefficient is just a number that is in front of a variable. It also gets multiplied by that variable. So now that we know all of this, let's apply it to this expression. The first thing I'm going to do is take the expression and break it up in two terms. And the best way to do that is to do the following. First, put a box around the entire expression. After you put a box around the expression, make sure that you drop a line right before the next plus or minus sign you see. For example, here's my first plus sign. I'm going to drop a line right in front of it. That means that my first term is 3x. Then I'll find my next plus or minus sign and drop a line right in front of that. So my second term is plus or positive 4. I'll go to my next minus sign, drop a line there. That means my next term is negative 5y. Here I've got negative 7 because the line will go right before the plus sign here, and there's nothing else after this, and that's positive 12. So we now know, or we now have separated everything into terms. Now we have to make sure we can clarify and specify which are algebraic terms and which are constant terms. So remember, the major difference between algebraic terms and constant terms are the fact that algebraic terms contain a variable, and constant terms do not. So this one here is 3x. Do you see a variable in this term? Yes, because the variable here is x. Therefore, that is an algebraic term. And since it's an algebraic term, that means it contains a variable and a coefficient. So in this algebraic term, the coefficient is the number in the front right before the variable, and the variable is just the letter itself. So my coefficient is 3, and my variable is x. So my next term, there's no variable because it's positive 4. Since there's no variable, it's just a constant term. My next term is negative 5y. Is there a variable in this term? Yes, the variable or letter is y. So therefore, it's an algebraic term. And since it's an algebraic term, that means that it has to have a coefficient and a variable. So the coefficient So the variable is y, and the coefficient is the numerical value right before that y. So therefore, the coefficient would be negative 5, and the variable is y. So that's 3 terms done. The next term is negative 7. Is there a variable? No. Therefore, it can't be algebraic, so it must be a constant term. And finally, we have positive 12. And positive 12 has no variable. Therefore, it cannot be algebraic. Therefore, it also must be a constant term. There's one more thing I want to make sure you understand, just on a side note. Whenever you have a variable by itself, there's always a coefficient if you have a variable, but if you don't see it, it's just the number 1. So for example, if I just gave you the variable x, that's automatically 1x, where the variable is x and the coefficient is 1. Or if I gave you the variable y, there the variable is y, so therefore the coefficient must be 1. If there's no number written in front of the variable, it's automatically a 1. And just for example, again, if I gave you the variable m, then the coefficient there must automatically be 1. Thanks for watching our video on the math review. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We might use your question in our next video. And if you found this lesson helpful, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And it would really help if you share this and our other videos to any of your social media platforms. See you next time on the Math Review.